And this is anxiety. I'm sitting in my car, parked in the parking lot at the hotel. My hotel room is one flight of stairs up just behind me. And I've got my visors in the windshield. And my brain's going, can I fit all this stuff? How many loads is this going to take? Am I going to have to come back a third time? Am I going to be able to check out of the hotel tonight or tomorrow? Even though I know that if I checked out, I already paid for the room through tomorrow. And even if I checked out tonight, I would maybe save, I don't know, $50. But if I check out tomorrow, it's not a big deal, even though it's already paid for. Should I go rent a U-Haul? I don't know. Does it seem like that's enough time? Is it time efficient to rent a U-Haul? If it is, what happens if I wreck it on the way there? Then I'm going to have to pay for that damage. And I don't know if I can handle that right now. Plus, I have anxiety about going around the truck and checking to make sure that there's no scratches, bumps, something, whatever that I'll be liable for. So I'm wondering if the anxiety for that is higher for just renting the U-Haul and checking it out and leaving the lot, if that anxiety is more than the anxiety that I'm experiencing right now as I talk 100 miles per hour, because that's what anxiety does. It speeds up your thoughts, and then when you are internalizing all of your thoughts in your brain, like me, that's me remembering to breathe, you sit here in your car. I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for in 110 degree heat and think about the work that needs to be done in order to get moved. This is a real life moment of anxiety. This is normal to feel this way for everybody, I'm assuming, who is under pressure, is moving, all of that's stressful. But on my YouTube channel here, I'm trying to capture my real life moments where I'm experiencing a mental health challenge. I know I myself can't eliminate the entire stigma in the entire world for everybody against mental health and addressing the brain and its health, in addition to the body and its health. I feel that both should be addressed equally. They should be. Mental health is real, and so in moments when I turn on the camera and I'm talking 100 miles an hour about what my thoughts are and what's going through my brain, that's me, one, attempting to catch myself in this situation rather than just sit here spinning in my head by forcing the camera for me to look into the camera. As you can see, I'm looking away from the camera, looking down, looking away. When that happens, it's because I have trouble talking about mental health and what's going on. And looking away from the camera is kind of me shying away from the fact that this is something I'm really experiencing. And years ago, I would have been ashamed, nor would I would have never spoken about it out loud in general to anybody, not even a family member. But I would have never dreamed that I would turn on the camera, point it at my face, and talk to the world about it. And here I am. So I've made progress myself, but the more that I show the raw, oftentimes not pretty, 99.9% of the time not pretty. I'm not sure I know anything that's pretty or attractive or sexy or not embarrassing or whatever about mental health, and talking about how your brain is, thoughts are doing circles, and my inability to control my thoughts produces irrational thoughts, which produces anxiety, which produces halting in place, or a standstill, or it's another way to describe it. It's like a barricade in the road. Flash floods are prevalent in Arizona. There's a law called the stupid motorist law. It's a thing where if there's a flash flood crossing the road, a flash flood is moving water. It rains heavily here very quickly. Monsoon, downpour, microburst. Very quickly, rain comes down and runs off. The ground is so dry, and it can only absorb so much water in a short period of time. So flash flooding is real, and flash flooding doesn't just happen on major highways. In fact, that's one of the areas that doesn't really happen. On a dippy road, in neighborhoods, in a parking lot, flash floods are real, and the stupid motorist law was put in place for when people drive through flash floods, because they don't think that the water is rushing that fast, or they weren't paying attention, or they had somewhere to be, and so they were like, I'm just gonna go, I'll just try it out. Or if you're like me, I followed an SUV through a running water across, water was running across the roadway, flowing after a rain, and I followed an SUV, thankfully, when I had my Jetta, my Volkswagen Jetta sedan a couple of years ago. I followed an SUV that happened to clear the path for me, I think, which helped me get through the flood, right? But if you aren't lucky like that, and there's more than, I think, 6 inches of water in the roadway, water's powerful, right? This tangent, I promise, we'll circle back. Helps me calm down by focusing on something else. If you aren't lucky and you cross into a flash flood, a moving water flood in Arizona, and your car can be swept away with just 6 inches of water. It can, and it happens all the time. And people don't realize. And what happens is the car will be swept down a floodway, a causeway, a wash, we call them in the desert, into the desert, into a ravine, and typically by that point the car is submerged so far underneath the water that the driver has climbed out of the window and is on top of their vehicle. Now they must call for a helicopter rescue to be rescued from the top of their vehicle in floodwaters that the water may not have even been there less than 30 minutes or 20 minutes before that time period, okay? This is a big deal. So when the person's rescued by helicopter, they have to pay the helicopter fee for the pickup. They have to obviously endure the embarrassment and shame of being on the news, being picked up and helicoptered off of the top of their car, plus whatever they're gonna get from their insurance company for doing that, the rate or rental or the rate increase. Now they have a flooded engine, car damage. If they have a significant other, that probably is not going to be very happy about it. If they're a single person, they're just going to feel really stupid for a long time and spin in their head and embarrassed and shameful. And then to top it off, they're given a ticket. The stupid motorist law ticket. I don't know if that's what it's actually called. I've never received one. I would love to know if somebody else has received one. But they're given a ticket for doing that. It's a traffic violation. So long story short, okay? Real quick. I'm very grateful that I have not, knock on wood, been swept away in, you never, because roadways flood here so quickly, you have no idea how deep it is. You don't know if there's boulders in it. I have a friend who was telling me about the time that she accidentally went through a wash in a neighborhood and it gave her a flat tire and, get this, ripped off her front bumper. And she said a couple days later she went back and looked for the bumper. It was never to be found. The front bumper of her sedan was ripped off and she was in a neighborhood. Like, it's serious. The water and the rocks, it causes serious damage. So anyways, they barricade the roads when it rains here, where floods potentially happen, flash floods. And I'm using this huge, long, extended analogy because I'm staring at storm clouds on all sides of me. And I like talking about weather. And I'd really like to see not the damage it will do to the structures or the people or the properties, but I would like to witness a flash flood in person near the Bighorn Fire, burn scar. Mudslides and flash flooding is likely after such a big fire. Anyways, as I'm seeing just a little bit of smoke coming off the mountain that way. So what happens? It rains in Arizona, comes down real fast, hot, heavy everywhere, and the roads flood. And if it's a big enough road with enough cars and traffic, police is dispatched, and what they'll do is a police car on both directions, if it's a two-way rural road, or four-lane rural road, two in each direction, they'll have a police car, swing around, flip a B, and park diagonally so no one can cross. And while the flood water rushes through, because here in the desert, it doesn't take long. Flash floods, they come, they go, and then they're done. And then it dries up. It's crazy. So they'll barricade the road. So what happens, back to my anxiety discussion, what anxiety does and racing thoughts that lead to anxiety, what it does is it creates a standstill. It creates a barricade. It creates I cannot go any further past this point without being, it creates a wall. It creates a police car in the center of the road that will not allow you to go past it. Turn around, don't drown. That's what it says on the highway signs. That's the lingo on the websites, the public information. Turn around, don't try to go through the flash flood, don't drown. Turn around, don't drown. Turn around, don't drown. For anxiety, when anxiety hits, and if you're a person, I'm a single person, meaning I don't have a person that is with me typically, or I don't have a spouse, a counterpart. I don't have somebody who I can call up. I have a lot of friends that I can call, but I'm not trying to burden everybody every day with what's going on in my head. Everybody else has got all their stuff as well. So anyways, what happens as a single person is the anxiety sets in, and I quietly, I'll call it suffer. I quietly suffer in my head, because as the thoughts are running around like a circus, merry-go-round, and all of these little branches are, well, what happened if this happened? If this happens, then what about this? Well, if that happens, then what happens? If this happens, then that happens. All of that and the analysis of what could happen for, it can be the smallest of situations. For example, moving across town in a small subcompact SUV and deciding whether I should rent a U-Haul, pay the price, get the gas, move the stuff, and take one trip, or possibly take 3 trips or 4, spend an extra night at the hotel, know that I will probably not sleep well tonight, worried about tomorrow. It creates a standstill. So I sit in my car in 110 degree heat, dreaming about weather that I see in the distance and how I can't wait to photograph some storms when they come through. But first, I have this task to take care of, which is moving a very small amount of possessions. Thankfully, possessions, I don't have many, plus Stella. In the grand scheme of things, as I sit here and talk it out loud, I've slowly calmed myself down. I've been able to rationalize the irrational, and I've given myself a little pep of motivation, knowing that this isn't a big deal. I just need to get my butt inside and do this. It's hot. It's not going to get any cooler. It's going to take some time. And yes, I may have to stay an extra night at the hotel. It's not the end of the world. This too shall pass is the thing, right? This too shall pass. This should not cause anxiety for me. And by posting this video and hopefully having people watch it, if anybody knows what it feels like to hit that barricade where you feel frozen and you're not sure what to do, or you don't want to move, so you just stay still in one place. And you think, 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 and you think. If anybody has experienced that in their life, knowing that you're not alone, I hope provides just the smallest bit of comfort. And I appreciate people commenting and telling me about their story if they're willing to be open about it. Because the more we talk about mental health, the more we normalize it, the less scared and ashamed and shocked and the less we'll suppress it as a society, because a body can't function if the brain doesn't function. Very small amount of time can that doesn't make sense. I was thinking about a snake, and if you cut its head off, but I don't know the science about snakes. I just know that sometimes people who cut the heads of snakes off say that one part of the body will still be able to move after the head's been cut off, which is crazy because the spinal, anyways, that's besides the point. Thanks for listening. Mental health is a big deal to me. Addressing it, speaking about it, opening up the conversation to the world, hoping to shine, not shed, I guess, shine some light, some Jessica light into the world about what I deal with. I'm one person. There's millions of us, billions of us. There's other people going through similar things, but unless we talk about it to the camera and post it on YouTube shamelessly, the world's going to still be shocked when it's discussed. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun to talk about, but it has to be done. So thanks for listening. I love all of you guys and girls and everybody. Thanks for watching. Share this message. I'd appreciate that. Hit the notifications button. I'm gonna go move myself. Take care.